So you got the PM job. First of all, congratulations. That's awesome. But now the real work begins. Seriously, what you do in these first 90 days is going to set the stage for your entire career at your new company. So let's break down the game plan to make sure you make a massive impact. Okay, first things first, let's bust a huge myth right out of the gate. The biggest mistake new PMs make is feeling this intense pressure to ship something, anything, as fast as they possibly can. But your first 3 months, they're not about output. They are all about listening, learning, and most importantly, building a solid foundation of trust with your new team. So how do you build that trust strategically? You don't just wing it. We're going to use a framework called the 30, 60, 90-day plan. And this isn't just some PM thing. It's a super well-known method used everywhere to help new hires get up to speed. It just breaks down this critical time into 3 distinct, way more manageable phases. Let's get things off with your first 30 days. Your primary goal here is incredibly simple. You need to become a sponge. Seriously, your only job is to just soak up as much information and context as you possibly can. Forget about doing, focus entirely on learning. So what does being a sponge actually look like? Well, it breaks down into a few key areas. First, the people. You got to go on a listening tour, schedule coffees, meet everyone. Then the product. Dive into the archives, understand its history, its vision. You need to learn the team's process, research the wider market, and most critically, get to know your customer. Oh, and ask all the dumb questions now. This is your one and only chance to do it guilt-free. To really understand the who, you need to go deep. I'm not just talking about basic demographics here. You need to build out a detailed buyer persona. What are their real goals? What drives them crazy? What are the problems that literally keep them up at night? This empathy is the starting point for every single great product. And that really gets to the heart of the job, doesn't it? Product management is all about empathy. You don't have direct authority over your engineers or designers. Your power comes from influence. And that influence? It's built on a genuine, deep understanding of what makes your team and your customers tick. Okay, so you've spent a solid month just learning, absorbing everything. Now it's time to shift gears. In your second month, the focus moves from just taking in knowledge to actually translating it into real, tangible value for the team. But hold on, we're not talking about launching some massive new feature. The goal here is to find and nail a few small wins. Think of these as targeted, high-impact actions that solve a real problem for your team or your users. They're how you demonstrate your value and really start to build on that trust we talked about. So, how do you find one of these small wins? Easy. Look for friction. Is there some manual process that everybody just hates doing? A recurring bug that's super annoying but never quite makes it to the top of the list? Propose a simple, scrappy way to fix it. This shows you have initiative and a bias for action, all without overstepping your bounds. All right, you've learned, you've added value, you've built trust. Now, in this final phase, you begin that really exciting transition from being a contributor to becoming a leader. This is where you start to take true ownership. This whole phase is all about a huge mindset shift. You're not just asking for context anymore, you're the one who's providing it. You're not just following a predefined plan, you're actively shaping what comes next for the product. It's a big step. A huge part of leading is making decisions in a way that's not a black box. You should actually develop your own decision-making framework. What are the principles that guide your choices? Is it user impact, business goals, technical debt? You have to communicate this over and over, so your team always understands the why behind your calls. And this all leads to the big one, your ability to contribute to, and pretty soon own the product roadmap. You're now thinking strategically, planning out quarters and halves, and really steering the product toward its long-term vision. This is where you go from launching a minimum viable product, or MVP, to iterating based on what real users are telling you. Now look, following this plan is a fantastic start, but let's be real, the path isn't always perfectly smooth. So let's quickly cover the most common traps for new PMs so you can sidestep them completely. First up, and this one is huge, the CEO of the product myth. Please, you are not the boss. You're a leader, for sure, but you lead through influence and collaboration, not by barking orders. Acting like you're the CEO is seriously the fastest way to lose your team's respect. Next, avoid falling in love with solutions before you've even properly understood the problem. So many new PMs jump straight to brainstorming features. Don't do it. Your job is to first fall in love with the user's problem. The solution? That comes much, much later. Your intuition? It's valuable, absolutely, but it can't be the only thing in the driver's seat. Every assumption you have must be validated with data. That means getting comfortable with both the qualitative stuff from user interviews and the quantitative stuff from your analytics tools. And finally, you have to get comfortable saying no. Your stakeholders are going to have an endless stream of ideas, and honestly, a lot of them will be pretty good. But a PM's job isn't to build everything, it's to prioritize like your life depends on it. And that means saying no to good ideas to make room for the truly great ones. So there you have it. That's the game plan. You start by learning, just becoming a sponge for all that context. Then you build your credibility with small, tangible wins. And finally, you step up and begin to lead with a clear vision. By following this structure, you're not just starting a job, you're building an unshakable foundation of trust and respect. So the real question is, what are you going to build on top of it?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like.